Francine Bell has been performing since the age of 5 as a young girl in Brooklyn, New York, sharing her musical talents firstly, I think, in church, and then performing on stages throughout Europe. She now calls Australia home. And throughout her career, she's worked with some personality. I looked at the list, actually, Francine, before I turned to you. Ray Martin, Slim Dusty, Bert Newton, all the Aussie names that you Olivia Newton-John, people like that, that are all so much a part of our life. Francine shared with us before on Wesley Impact, but I always like hearing from people who are continually finding new ways in which they can use their gift. Welcome, Francine, once again.
Thank you, Keith. It's lovely to be here.
Tell us what you've been doing since last time we talked. It's way back in 2006 on the show, though we've done something between then and now.
Yes.
Tell us what's been going on in recent years in your life.
Okay. Well, I left the Conservatory of Music in Newcastle, where I taught and lectured for 10 years. And I've started my own vocal studio, so that's been extremely rewarding. And I've also been doing a lot of motivational speaking. I've been preaching. I've written a book since I was last here. And I'm in the process now of getting ready to do some more motivational speaking at a women's retreat. And generally motivating people.
Tell us what it means when you have a young person that comes who's got more than a modicum of talent. They've got something, but perhaps something needs to happen to make it happen. What do you do with young people like that?
Well, Keith, you know, a lot of them come wanting to be clones of someone else.
Yes.
You know, they pick a song because they like a song. They don't necessarily understand the lyrics. It doesn't necessarily have any emotional value to them. I'm the one that comes in and says, why are you singing this song? Who are you singing it to? What is the message that you wish to leave with them? And I help them to connect emotionally to things, and it's been quite extraordinary watching that.
And there's a sense in which you're wanting to get what the story is for that person, isn't
Absolutely. That's what makes it different. You know, it could be just a bit of folklore or urban myth, but I always share the story in my workshops about James Taylor. I heard once that James Taylor sings a romantic love song, and Keith, all the women in the audience are going, oh, James. But rumor has it James wrote that song about his pet pig. Keith, the man, is singing about bacon, but because he's connected to that bacon emotionally, everybody gets it.
Yeah. Look, and you've been unique in you're bigger than life itself, and that's really great to see that sense of...
I'm really shy, Keith.
But tell me how you handle the person that really has a message to give, but is kind of uneasy about that doesn't have the confidence. How do you breathe confidence into people?
Well, you know, the seminar that I run is called Inside the Alien Head, Releasing the Incredible You in You. But what it is, you know, as funny as it sounds, we're all aliens. I'm an alien because I'm different from you. You're an alien because you're different from me. So I get everybody hooked in to the fact that God created them to be unique, to be different, to stand out, not blend in. The only time we want to conform is we want to conform to Jesus and his Spirit, but everything else, God created individuals. So I speak into their self-worth, their self-esteem, trying to make them understand that they needn't try to copy other people, you know, because they have something that's very special and unique to offer.
And the Christian faith is so important to you, I know. Looking back over your career, you've done some amazing things. You went off to Paris for 6.5 years with $100 in the pocket.
Less than $100, Keith.
And really an amazing career there, and you've travelled around the world. Out of all the things that you've done and do, what to you is the most important?
Sewing into people. You know, I've just recently written an article for Sydney Stedford, and it's called Who's Feeding Your Dream Seeds? And the reason I did that was because years ago, Keith, when I lived in New York, I was on the corner of 57th Street and 5th Avenue across from Tiffany and Co., waiting for the light to change, and I was trying to figure out where I'd go on holiday. And a girl who was black like me said, "Go to Paris, my dear." I had never considered that that was an option for me. But she sowed those dream seeds. They were watered by the Holy Spirit, and off I went to Paris, like you said, with less than 100 US dollars, a one-way ticket, no French and no job, but a lot of faith that God would lead me. So I like sowing dream seeds into others. You know, I like to motivate them. You know, I once heard something called acres of diamonds. I don't know whether you've ever heard that. The story talks about an African farmer who heard that there was a farm somewhere that they were discovering lots of diamonds in. Okay, so he sells his farm and he goes in search of those diamonds, only to have the person that bought the farm discover that those diamonds were right there. You know, so I like to let people.
I know one of the features of you is you always like to see that there's nothing goes wrong. Whatever happens is something that can be turned to good, isn't it? And something powerfully.
Hello, you know, I think we were talking earlier about the time I had that concert, and you know, all my music was on CD, and I got there and the machine wouldn't read it. So I just said, okay, God, that's obviously not what you want today. So what is it? And I heard the words, take request. And I did an hour and a half with request, and I had a very happy audience.
Now, we're not going to have a request today, but you're going to sing something for us. Tell us a little bit about the song you're going to sing.
Well, that song, you know, I say it's my song to the bikies, Keith. The highway was given to me. And it was based on a text in Isaiah that talks about a highway. And I just thought that was so cool. I had never seen the highway in the Bible before. But it talks about the fact that God does want us to take the high ground.
Just before we go, Francine, if you could say one thing to an emerging artist. Now, this is not somebody who's totally lacking in talent. They recognize it. They've been given the help. They're on the way, and they're a Christian. What would you say to a Christian who is an emerging artist? What would you say to them about their faith and how they should exercise that calling?
I'd say, to thine own self be true. And what I mean by that, Keith, is if your faith is as strong as you think it is, don't do things that are going to take you outside of it. You know, stand up for the things that you believe in and walk away from those things that you don't. But in all things, you know, make sure that God is the author and the finisher of it, because otherwise it won't work.
And you've never felt that's ever let you down, have you?
It's never let me down, Keith. And, you know, I live my life that way. I mean, I even ask God about wardrobe. What am I wearing today, God? You know, and I suggest that people start asking those questions. God, what would you have me do? Is this from you? If it's not from you, close the door and close it firmly. But open those doors for me, Lord, that nobody else can.